My name's LazyBed, and I've been a fight fan for over 30 years. As an accidental industry insider, I've become a staple in the chat rooms of some of your favorite podcasts.
I'm DangerMouse, an Englishman by blood, a Yorkshireman by the grace of God, a dedicated, devoted, and often sleep-deprived casual fan who once upon a time did earn a black belt in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu.
And my name is Austin, aka No Special, a former wrestler with a knack for all things grappling, who's not afraid of a fiery take or ruffling some feathers.
Together, we combine our individual expertise to dive deep into the current events and ongoings in the world of mixed martial arts, the big and the small. This is the Weekend Roundup.
Hey up, you bleeders. I'm your host, DangerMouse, and this is the Weekend Roundup, episode 96. Well, another late night UFC for me, and I didn't make it all the way through. I fell asleep, woke up, went to bed, and then woke up again at about 6 a.m., and my flabber was fully gasted, but we'll get on to that in a moment. And joining me to talk about UFC 3 to 8 in New Jersey is just LazyBed. We've moved out of the main room, we're slipping into snug, pouring ourselves some nice drinks, and probably lazy smoking something nice. And it's just going to be the two of us going over the fights. So yeah, no fancy intros, which is lucky because I didn't write one either. Just a quick reminder to like and subscribe, and we can crack on with the fights. And we might as well start with the main event, which I think it's fair to say was a bit of a surprise result. Now, kind of funny because on our Discord, I did say to Lazy that every time I don't stay up for a Strickland fight, he wins. As with the Izzy fight, and when I stay up, he loses, as he did versus DDP twice. Now, here's the thing, guys. I've seen Sean coaching, and he constantly shouts at guys to get up, to not accept being on their back, and I knew we were not going to get a repeat of the DDP fight. For instance, I was pretty sure Sean knew how to defend against a crucifix. Surprisingly cordial at face-off, touching gloves, not once, but twice, both smiling, looking really ready to go. And I'll just do a very quick fight breakdown. We knew the takedown was coming, and even Sean knew he wasn't going to stop it. Ball spent the entire first round trying to take Sean's back, which he did. He had no success with his choke attempt. I think if you watch the fight, Sean had that two-handed baseball back grip on one of Khamzat's arms for most of the round. Was just listening to an interview where Sean was praising his BJJ coach. Speaking of coaching, excellent coaching by Nick Sig between rounds, and Sean apparently listening for once. He told him to keep in the center of the cage and not to get his back close to it, because that was where Khamzat was going to go for the shot. And Sean did keep the center of the cage, and he not only defended the shot, but he actually reversed it and ended up putting balls on his back, which I think one of the few times we've seen that. And I was actually surprised Sean didn't wave balls up when they had some separation, but instead Sean stepped in and landed some ground and pound, and then held top position, gave himself about 3 minutes of ground control time. Round 3 was the war of the jabs, I put it down as, and that's not a war that Boars really should want to fight with Sean Strickland. After all, the guy is often accused of not having much more than a jab and a teep, and it's notable that Boars did not attempt a single takedown in that round. Also notable, I've just mentioned teeps, and I think Sean only threw about 3 in the entire fight. Presumably to avoid that takedown risk. Round 4 Boars was much stronger, got another takedown. He won that round pretty clearly. And then round 5 was close again. Boars did manage a couple of takedowns, but Sean was always able to regain his feet, and it was back to exchanging punches. I gave that round to Sean, but it could easily have gone the other way. And after all the harsh words said between these two, the sportsmanship at the end, Khamzat putting the belt around Sean's waist, I don't think I've ever seen that before. And I've gone on for long enough. I haven't even said hello to him properly. So hello, Lazy. And I do have a few more things to say about it, but I'll let you say what you want to say about this amazing fight. I got carried away then. I got carried away.
Well, hello, first off. Hello back at you, first off. I'm not mad you got carried away, because in typical lazy fashion, I've been lazy and I've prepared nothing for this, so this is just going to be off the top of the dome. But I think that we've been waiting for this fight for long enough and prepping for this fight for long enough that all the X's and O's kind of taken care of beforehand, and it was just a matter last night of watching the fight play out, see how things played out. So, yeah, great job there. Breaking down on the round by round stuff. I think that the first thing that I have to kind of point out in this fight is that I had a late, like 23rd hour theory coming in that Khamzat was going to actually miss weight on the scale, and he was going to forfeit the belt before the fight ever took place, much like a Charles Oliveira a couple years back, and that we were going to see Sean Strickland be the only one here eligible to actually win the middleweight title. Turned out that wasn't the case, but Khamzat did have a pretty rough weight cut, or at least what a lot of people speculate was. And I see a lot of people doing what I guess I'll call excuse making for Chimaev already, blaming that weight cut for his performance. I don't know the reasoning why he fought the way he did last night, but I think that we can all agree that didn't really look like the Chimaev of old. It didn't look like the Chimaev that a lot of people expected. And you can attribute that to many things. First and foremost, you got to attribute it to the performance of Sean Strickland. You can't take anything away from the way he fought. But, and this kind of brings me around to my first real point that I want to discuss on this fight. The very strange, very peculiar game plan of Khamzat Chimaev. Like, the first round, that was pretty solid. I think that was a clear Khamzat round.
That was kind of Khamzat, yeah.
Yeah, that was a solid, performance on what you expect from a Chimaev fight. The second round, what the fuck was that? What was that exactly? That was one of the all-time head-scratcher rounds that I've encountered in a UFC title fight. Just very strange body language, very strange decision-making, and that takedown that he attempted on Sean, where he wound up on his back with Sean on top, that was one of the most half-hearted takedown attempts I've ever seen. And it's like, do you attribute that to cardio? Was he that gassed at that point? I found myself questioning, was he hurt? Was he injured somehow? Like, did he pull a rib? But, the fight progressed, and I think that got shown not to be the case. But it's like, rounds 3 through 5 really make you question round 2 even more, because once round 2 was up and Khamzat made that pivot to basically try to out Strickland and to turn this into a jab teep fest, he pulled out the tab Jeep and they went to jab teep town. That was a clear sign to me that it wasn't really an injury. It was just like decision making or something, or like a mental lapse. I don't know. We can speculate all day long until the cows come home, but regardless, whatever we chalk it up to, something weird happened in round 2. And then from round 3 on, there was like a decision made on the behalf of Chimaev to basically not wrestle until the last minute in each round. Gas tank preservation, maybe that's possible, but I speculate that it might have been some sort of a ego decision. That he wanted to fight Strickland where Strickland is best, and to try to actually almost like mirror him and to compete in the same manner with the same game plan, the same tactics. Very strange. One of the most head scratching game plans I've seen in a long time in a title fight for a guy who's undefeated and really had a lot on the line here. Or did he? Because this is my second point and the last thing I'll talk about with this fight. It seemed kind of like Chimaev had made the decision beforehand that he was moving up to 205. Many people had speculated it. He had talked about it. And I think that he kind of showed that he was a bit checked out. He may have been looking forward already and looking at the future too soon, and maybe have written off Sean Strickland, maybe have overlooked him. Or maybe just plain out not cared about the result of this, because his sight is firmly set on moving up to 205. And he went as far as to tell Dana White that after the fight backstage, as soon as they encountered each other and had their first discussion face to face, he told him, "I'm going up to 205." And Dana says it's an exciting option. It's an exciting move. So I think it's pretty clear we're going to see him go up to 205. and really, I don't know what he's fighting for anymore. What's getting Khamzat Chimaev up anymore? Because he clearly doesn't care about UFC gold. That's not what's motivating him. He said it himself. He makes more money outside of the UFC and not fighting, so it's not money motivating him. And now he's lost the mystique of being an undefeated fighter and this scary monster. So if you're Khamzat Chimaev, what's getting you out of bed in the morning to continue fighting? I'm sure he probably will. I do think he'll be back, but there's always the possibility this dude never fights again. So that's a thing. But in the end, it's all credit to Sean Strickland, credit to Eric Nixick, like you pointed out, Mouse, Extreme Couture, now with a 2-time champion here, a 2-time champion in Sean Strickland that nobody would have predicted, in my opinion, to become a 2-time champion, and especially not in 2 circumstances where he was a huge underdog, pulled off insane victories against both Israel Adesanya and now Khamzat Chimaev. And hey, man, love him or hate him, you got to take your hat off to him, because he's building what, if it isn't already, will likely be by the time he retires, a Hall of Fame resume.
You've said a lot of things. I'm hopefully going to be able to remember to cover things. The takedown in the second round, I wonder if Khamzat gave a lot trying to get to Strickland choked in that first round. He held his back. I think at one point Strickland was stood up with him hanging off him. So he expended a lot of energy and then he couldn't get it done. Now, I wonder, they've obviously spent some time in the gym together before. It makes you wonder how those sparring matches came out, because we've seen that tiny little bit of footage where they're just tip-tapping, it's plain, it's not serious sparring, they're not in a cage. But it makes you wonder how often Chimaev actually could strangle Sean Strickland. Maybe he thought he could, and maybe Strickland's massively improved, because he didn't mention his BJJ coach thing. So maybe Strickland has just improved, and Khamzat gave everything in that first round to take Strickland out, because that's what he presumed he could do. And then the second round comes around and it's like, oh shit, I didn't take him out, and now I'm tired. And Strickland obviously can wrestle. We figured he could wrestle. We've heard he can wrestle, and he proved he can wrestle. Khamzat pulling guard, a little bit strange, weird to see that. Maybe he was just figuring he could take the round off. He didn't do that much in the third round, as we've already said. It was the battle of the jabs. So yeah, curious. Like you said, if he had his eyes completely fixed on 205, you'd still think he'd want to walk away with the belt. The weight thing, we had the entire controversy about that. And listening again to Aaron Bronstedt today, he said that scale did not come to a stop, which means it's not measured. That's a fake reading as far as he's concerned. He was there. I don't know if he was there in the room when they were doing that particular weigh-in, but Aaron Bronstedt knows a lot more than I do about weigh-ins at UFC fights. So I'm willing to look that way for maybe the UFC just wanted to make sure it was a proper fight for a proper belt. At the end of the day, does 0.1 of a pound really, really matter? I know it does technically, but so I don't know. I don't know what went off there. I'm sure there's probably something else I wanted to mention. You did finish up almost saying the thing I was going to ask you, because as I said earlier, I didn't stay up for this one. Strickland did indeed win. For Sean to beat Izzy and win the middleweight belt was a massive upset. And certainly, honestly, it was difficult to see how Strickland could possibly surpass that moment. But then he beats the unbeaten wrestling phenom, 15-0, regains the middleweight belt, and winning a belt in the UFC one time is not an easy thing to do. To lose it and get it back is exceptionally rare. Izzy is the only other guy to have done it at middleweight, and you phrased this almost exactly as I have. Whether you love him or hate him, Sean Strickland's name must now be counted amongst the greatest at middleweight. He beat the guy who everyone considered to be one of the greatest strikers at middleweight, and now he's beaten the guy considered to be the most dangerous single round fighter and an absolute monster wrestler, and he's took his O from him as well. So yeah, future Hall of Famer for sure. And I forget who it was. Someone said he's got to be in the top 5 all-time middleweights.
Yeah, well, real quick though, before we do move on, this is just the last things I wanted to mention on this main event. Being that it's me and you, I think we can say one more thing about this.
Yeah, sure.
This statistic, guys, I shared it on the Discord. The curse, the 9-fight win streak curse. No one's talking about it on any of the podcasts that we watch. I do see them talking about it on Twitter, but the damnedest fucking thing. This is per Andy Hickey, who's a good guy for statistics on MMA on Twitter. 5 different guys have, at middleweight, have had 9-fight win streaks in the UFC. Khamzat Chimaev being one of them. Dricus du Plessis, Israel Adesanya, Robert Whitaker, and Chris Weidman, the other of the 5. They all had 9-fight win streaks. They all lost at that 9-fight mark. And they all lost at that 9-fight mark as middleweight champions. So what a strange fucking thing to have happen. But if in the future, if you're on a 9-fight win streak and you happen to enter into that fight looking for the 10th victory and you are the middleweight champion, I fucking get your crucifixes out, get your holy water, do whatever you got to do, but fucking erase that bad juju that's on you, because there's some sort of a hex happening with that statistic.
Yeah, that is a rather weird one. Well, we might as well go to the co-main then, because this is where your draft pick was, wasn't it? Joshua Van taking on Tatsuro Taira. Yeah. In fact, I'll just let you take it away. Why don't you tell us what you want to say about this, as soon as I hogged the Strickland chat?
Oh, man. This fucking fight. I think that anticipation levels were very, very high for this fight. Rightfully so. I can't think of a much better fight that the UFC could make with 2 people on their roster under the age of 26 years old. Absolutely fucking incredible. The level of talent between these 2 guys for their respective ages. Tatsuro Taira, of course, coming in, an incredibly deadly and accomplished grappler, a guy who had in recent fights had gone up against a much improving and ascending level of talent in his opposition, and had been answering some questions, and a lot of people, especially in the MMA betting world, were really riding the Taira side. And I could see why, because we know as MMA fans and analysts, I guess if you want to call us that, grappling typically wins you fights. Grappling, wrestling, of course, the best base for mixed martial arts. And Taira he was on a heater. And outside of that lone loss, which I believe came at the hands of Brandon Royval, if I'm not mistaken. But outside of that, inside of the UFC, of course, he was just, his trajectory was the ceiling was the roof, as they say. He was on his way to the moon, and they were pretty much strapping the title to him. There was talks of Japan events and him versus Horiguchi in Japan, and Dana was mentioning that they would potentially go over there and do a show there and all kinds of shit. And basically he had the promotion and a lot of people in this space behind him. On the other side,
if we can just very quickly interject in a slightly off-color joke, slightly off-color or maybe on-color joke. He was the great yellow hope, and I'm afraid he's
Yeah, I mean, the kid had everything. He had the marketability, he had the fighting style, he had the results, everything. So he was the total package, and he was kind of going to be the ticket and the entryway back into that market. But on the other side of it, the flip side of it, you had Joshua Van, who kind of a similar situation, kind of the same ilk, but because of situations like the Pantoja fight, where a lot of people felt, he maybe wrongfully won his flyweight title, and that was a fluke, and that he didn't handle it well, and that maybe he conducted himself with a little bit of a lack of class in celebrating that victory. There was a good portion of the fan base and a good portion of MMA pundits who were against him, and that they didn't really give him much of an opportunity in this fight. I think that they gave him a puncher's chance, and maybe that was it. And they felt that the hole that was the grappling defense for Joshua Van was going to be too large. It was going to be too much. And Tatsuro Taira was going to take full advantage of that. And what ended up happening was we learned that when you train at the Derek Lewis School of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu defense, BJJ is not real. You could just get up. You just get the fuck up, because that's what Josh Van did all night long. Whenever Tatsuro Taira found himself in advantageous positions, Van was able to not give up the angles that he was looking for, defend just enough to use, virtually just sheer athleticism and youth and exuberance to just fucking get the fuck up. He just got up, and he would find himself back on his feet, or at very minimum working back to his feet and taking full advantage of it. Because Tatsuro Taira, for all the credit he deserves and for all the accolades he has garnered in the grappling world, his stand-up, ladies and gents, is fucking atrocious. It is sub fucking par. And Jed Meshew had to be fucking cracking up, and many others on the MMA Fighting Watch Along last night, talking about Tatsuro Taira's hand placement, hands at his fucking knees, not protecting his chin, not in the place where you would want them. I think Jed said that maybe he was worried about getting punched in the knees, so that's why he was holding his hands out there. The only explanation possible. But either way, hand placement was bad, striking defense horrible, and the head movement, goodness gracious, reminded me of Diego Lopez. How I compare Diego to a children's stick horse toy like that you ride on. Just head in one place the entire time, did not move off the center line, was getting pinged all about. The shot that knocked him flat onto his back and whiplashed his head backwards, smacking off the mat, potentially could have been a fight ender. All credit to Taira for getting up from that and gathering his wits and doing his best to continue to fight on. But really, this felt to me like a virtual masterclass from Joshua Van. This felt like the answering of questions of 1,000 people out there, 1 million people in this sea of fans that doubted what he was capable of or doubted his performance against Pantoja. And I think that this is a real, it was a real litmus test for how he's going to perform should Pantoja come back soon and get the rematch against him. Because for as good as that Van did against Taira, I don't know if you get away with some of the shit that he got away with against Pantoja. I feel like Pantoja is a much more lethal grappler. I feel like he's a much more, he's got more venom in the way that he fights and the way that he attacks. And that could prove troublesome for a Joshua Van who, like I was pointing out, basically just relied on athleticism to get out of a lot of these situations. So could spell trouble for Van should Pantoja return anytime soon to get the rematch. But at the end of the day, man, one of the best flyweight fights I've ever seen. Credit to both sides for that. And a phenomenal 55-point performance by Joshua Van for Team Lazy. So very happy for it. I'm sure I'll think of more as you talk, but I've said enough, so go ahead.
Yeah, you've already covered a lot of the points I would cover as expected, to be honest. We always do that. Let me just say that I did pick Taira for this fight. I picked him, though, because he was the favourite. I didn't pick him because he was on Lazy's draft team. And yeah, congratulations, 55 points, bastard. Yeah, Taira's takedowns very much on point, but other than holding Van down, he really wasn't able to do much. Van's takedown defense wasn't that great, but I was trying to figure out how to phrase this. His defensive BJJ was good, but I couldn't really figure out how to explain what he was doing. And you've explained it there, really, just constant athleticism. I'll just stand up. The Derek Lewis School of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, loads of people are doing that at the moment. So yeah, every time Taira got on top, he mounted him several times, but every time he tried to throw some ground and pound down, Van just bucked up underneath him. And it was like, oh shit. now I have to grab you again to hold position. Otherwise, I'm going to get thrown off or turned over. And that's all he could really do. Very frustrating for him, I'm sure. But on the feet, that was an entirely different game. It was clear there that Van didn't just have the edge. He had a really, really significant advantage. That slick boxing, the really nice movement. As you said, he knocked Taira down in that second round. It was either a straight or an overhand right. It was difficult to tell exactly. Just landed straight in the middle of Taira's face, knocked him clean off his feet. Head smashed on the canvas, as you said. Well, I've even put down that punch and that landing would have knocked out a hell of a lot of fighters. And whole credit to Taira for surviving that. And then, yeah, he knocked him down a couple of more times before the final stoppage in round 5. As you've already said, Taira really needs to learn to get off the centre line. His head movement is virtually non-existent, and that was denoted by his red and bloody face by the end of the fight. There was the illegal knee in round 3 when Van landed when Taira had his hand down.
Illegal thanks to New Jersey using the old rules.
Yeah,
fucking
exactly.
stupid.
Yeah. And then just at the end of the fight, I put down, was it actually an early stoppage? I thought perhaps so, especially in a title fight. I think their fighters should probably really be allowed to go out on their shield. And when he started protesting, he clearly was all about it. It wasn't like he was befuddled or stunned. Like he was turning away to try and get some protection. He might have gone down in another 10 seconds, but I would have rather seen him knocked down like that. And I think he would have rather seen him knocked down like that. He'd already taken a beating over the last 14 and a half minutes or whatever it was. Just let him go on.
I was going to ask you the same thing, how you felt about the stoppage, but I kind of feel the same way as you do, being that, like you said, it was so close to the end of the fight. Like, you've already let him get pounded on for all that time. Like, why stop it now? But then again, I kind of do see, because that was Vitor Ribeiro, Shaolin, a former fighter and one of the best referees in the game right now. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to lay into him too much about the stoppage. Although it was very late in the fight, you could have stopped it at any point earlier. Why did you wait so long? But when you do watch the replay, Taira does like the one thing you really don't ever want to see anyone do in an MMA fight, and he turns his back and he starts to like walk away, and you're in the middle of getting hit. Like, that's not what you want to see. A guy getting blasted and he turns away and starts to try to like shell up and walk away. That's like the big no-no. They always tell you, don't turn and walk away. Like, they're going to stop it 9 out of 10 times if you do that. So bad move there. But then the last thing I want to say is, I think almost Van's ability to get up from the bottom when he gets taken down like that is half credit to his size, being only 5'5". It's got to be a lot easier to shrimp and hoist your legs up and get up being short like that. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Small body, small movements, boom, you're back on your feet.
Yeah. You do see some of the shorter fighters, especially when they get slammed down, sometimes they'll just bounce straight back up to the feet. Whereas somebody who's 6'6" would obviously just be planted into the canvas.
Yeah. You got those long dangly legs. It takes you longer to fucking just to pull them up to a knee than to even get to your feet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, congratulations for Van. As far as Pantoja goes, that's going to be interesting. But apparently Pantoja is wanting to come back, and his team is saying, no, wait a little bit. Make sure you're
I heard same thing.
Fully repaired. So, I think his team is doing the right thing there.
And also lying in wait coming soon. We have another LazyBed draft pick, Kyoji Horiguchi taking on Manel Kopp. Another banger up at the top of that flyweight division that's going to have some real title implications.
Yeah, for sure. He wants to fight Pantoja. In fact, Pantoja wants to fight him, don't they? They both mates who want to have a scrap, which is nice to see in the UFC.
Flyweight is so fun right now. It's very deep. It's a lot of really talented guys. 125, there was one time on the verge of being axed from the entire UFC. It's probably one of the top 3 most entertaining divisions right now going.
Yeah, it's got to be up there. All right, we'll go away from those lightweights or lighter weights, and we'll go up to some heavyweight action. Alexander Volkov defeating Waldo Cortes-Acosta via decision. I think it was unanimous. On paper, this was a pretty good fight for heavyweight. Alexander Volkov, very seasoned veteran, very good record for heavyweight, 39 and 11 before this fight. And those numbers might not sound that great, but this is heavyweight. This is the place where records fall off very, very quickly. Just ask Taito Ivasa. When you face off against people of this kind of size, it's just so easy to be sent to the land of wind and ghosts. So it's not just a testament to, it's a testament to not just Volkov's skill, but his chin as well. And I think this fight started around 3:30 a.m. for me. And although it wasn't terrible, it wasn't enough to keep me awake. Needn't worry too much though, I guess, because I was the only one knocked unconscious in the fight. I did manage to rewatch it today, and it was actually a pretty decent scrap, especially for heavyweight. Volkov's game very clearly just to attack Costa's legs, and he did so across all 3 rounds. I looked at the figures. He landed 21 out of 22 leg kicks in round 1, 14 out of 14 in round 2, and 8 out of 8 in the final round. All in all, 48% of his significant strikes were to the legs, which you don't see very often. The rest were divided up into body and head.
Smart plan.
Yeah, it certainly worked.
Yeah.
He was using his height and he managed the range very well. Because Acosta was clearly faster, but he just couldn't get inside the range. Volkov is striking very much on point. I looked again at the figures: 75% accuracy in round 1, 60% in round 2. I think he dropped to about 50, 48 or something like that in round 3. But those are seriously high numbers. I think it came out as about 60% for the entire fight. Good performance by Volkov, but he's now in the horrible position. He's already lost to the current champion. Plus, the interim belt will now be decided at the White House. And Tom Aspinall has already said he will fight the winner later in the year to unify the belts, because that's what men do.
And now real talk.
Yeah, Acosta's run to a championship bout, grinds to a halt, and he's probably going to have to defend his number 4 spot. I'd put him up against Curtis Blades, who, of course, recently lost to Josh Hockett. Failing that, Rizvan Kuniev seems the best option, perhaps. Heavyweight is slowly improving, but the top end of the division is pretty tied up at the moment. And the only other question from which will tie into this, we haven't got to that fight yet, but the only other question remaining is, who has the best back piece, Alex Volkov or Sean Brady?
I would vote Sean Brady, but Volkov's is pretty nice too.
Pretty cool. I'm not a big fan of tattoos, but that samurai mask is pretty nifty. Yeah, no, I'm done then. It was an entertaining fight. I don't want to go on for it too much, you know.
Yeah, no. So that's my cue to take over then.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I just want to say, and I won't go long either on this fight. It's just that if you don't like Alexander Volkov, fuck you. Like he a lot of, yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people fucking don't give him any credit, and like this is a heavyweight, guys, in modern MMA, and he's got 51 fights. He's got a 40-11 record now. Like that deserves fucking credit in and of itself. This is a heavyweight with longevity who. And a healthy winning record. Has he had some losses? Sure, but it's been 2 quality guys. It's been 2 actual good heavyweights, and that's what Volkov is. He is not a sloppy, fat, bumbling buffoon who's gonna gas himself out, who's gonna fucking try an Imanari roll and only make it halfway. Like he's an actually like a skilled fighter. He's a truly skilled MMA fighter, well-rounded, has jiu-jitsu, has obviously great stand-up, can wrestle some, has good clinching, like understands distance management, which is a thing that many huge dudes or even just guys with long reaches don't understand. Volkov gets it. And that's why Volkov has a winning record. And that's why Volkov has found success. And like, I don't know why he doesn't get a lot of credit. And I do get it because his fights aren't the most entertaining sometimes. He's the kind of fighter that you see like at a welterweight who has a pretty successful similar type of record, but doesn't get a lot of credit because he typically fights to a decision because he's smart and he understands the game. He's not going buck wild. And, you know, that gets discounted, but I just wanted to say something about that because that's just, it grinds my gears a bit that somebody, a heavyweight in modern MMA, could be 40-11 and not get credit. So on the flip side of that coin, Waldo Cortes-Acosta is kind of the opposite of that. He's not a well-rounded fighter. He's not a truly mixed martial artist. To paraphrase what Volkov said himself last night at the post-fight presser, he's got a right hand. He's got a big right hand, and that's typical of most guys at heavyweight. And Volkov said it with a bit of disgust, and I would kind of echo his statement. Like, we shouldn't be getting behind and championing guys like Waldo Cortes-Acosta just because they show up often and they got a big right hand. That shouldn't be enough to get you, considered for a title shot. Like, you're not of that level. You're not of that ilk guy. You had some fun performances. You had a solid 2025, but you're not one of the big fish. Let's not mistake that. Volkov is in an unfortunate situation, like you said, Mouse. He's basically just going to be sitting around or fighting, guys in the middle of that top 10 or back into the top 10, because he's not going to get the title shot against Aspinall, more than likely, and he's kind of just on the outs with the White House situation going on and the unification of the belts. So I don't know what they really do with him, but just give fucking Volkov more credit because he deserves it.
Absolutely. I'll just close up on that. The man who had his hair styled in the ring in between rounds, for a start. One of the coolest moments in MMA of all time, I think. And also one of those losses was to Cyril Gann, and he fucking won that fight. So
yeah, true that.
All right, we were talking a little bit before the show started about this one, Lazy. Welterweight Sean Brady versus Joachim Buckley. Do you want to take us away on this? I have a load of shit written down on it, but take it away. Feel free. I'll just pick and choose.
I could probably say a few things about it. Well, first off, it's got to be mentioned, the funky, crazy line movement. We're not a betting show. We're not a gambling show. And it came across our radars. It came across, I think, everybody's radar that was paying attention leading up to this fight. It began with Sean Brady as a pretty sizable favorite. And by the time the fight rolled around, the line had completely flopped and switched, and Brady was now the sizable underdog. Speculation abounded why that was. We're not going to get into all that here because in the end, it mattered not. It was not a factor at all. Joaquin Buckley, who apparently Mouse told me and informed me did not train wrestling at all for this. He'll probably get into that more. It showed. And Sean Brady came out and he looked like the Sean Brady that we thought was going to be a title contender at 170. We were not questioning after this fight at all if he should be moving down to lightweight. He looked like he could handle himself quite well at 170. Had his way with Buckley. Really just did whatever he wanted. Fought his way to what many people believed was at least one, if not several, 10-8 rounds. And I could certainly see an argument for that. I don't remember really any moments of note on the Buckley side from this fight. It was virtually one-way traffic from bell to bell. And again, this is kind of a strange situation for Sean Brady, because I feel like, whether we want to admit it, when he goes up against truly properly sized welterweights, at least this new breed and this new generation of welterweights, he is very undersized. He's very small. The reach and height and things of that nature are not on his side. The Morales fight proved that, and you can attribute that to injuries like he's trying to chalk it up to. We'll never know. We're not inside his camp. We can only speculate, but it's obvious that he's very small for 170, and I do fear for how he fares against bigger guys in this weight class. But it's like, it's a double-edged sword, because clearly the guy can hang and he can contend, and not everyone at 170 is a behemoth. They're not all giant fucking huge dudes. So he's in a strange spot. I think that maybe with him, you possibly do the winner of the upcoming Bilal Muhammad Gabriel Bonfim fight. I think regardless of who wins that fight, I think that's a fun fight, even if it's Bilal, because I wouldn't mind seeing that rematch. So I think that's kind of what you do with him. But Joaquin Buckley, like, I'm really starting to believe that, much like a Kevin Holland, he's kind of at the point in his career where he's just going to start showing up for a check. So I think that's a tough guy to sell as a top 15 fighter. I think that at best he's going to be kind of a fringe guy, maybe a gatekeeper. And I brought this up today on to the next one on MMA fighting. I like it for a variety of reasons, but primarily just because I think it would be a fun fight. I would like to see Joaquin Buckley against Jacoby Smith. Jacoby Smith being another great grappler, phenomenal wrestler, but a guy who has shown some questions with the gas tank, and clearly is not the most seasoned yet, but he is getting up there in age, so we don't have time to slow play Jacoby. Why don't we get Jacoby Smith, Oklahoma City State Cowboy, former All-American, in there against Joaquin Buckley? You got an OKC card coming up. It's right around the corner. I would like to see it. Joaquin Buckley, he got manhandled for 3 rounds, but he didn't really get beat up. He could make a quick turnaround in a month or two. Why not?
Yeah. Could be a fun one. I wouldn't mind seeing him get a chance to get the loss back against Bilal. Yeah, I started off the same way as you did, really. There was some chat about the betting lines. We don't really need to go into it. Other than, Buckley started originally was underdog, and then he became favourite by the time the fight started. As you said, Brady wasn't actually injured, or certainly if he was, he didn't show it. I did look at the stats for this one. Round 1, pretty dominant, 3 minutes, 12 seconds ground control, 51 strikes landed. Buckley, on the other hand, just 1 strike. So there was some discussion if this was a 10-8. Jed Michoud especially was saying, nah, it's 10-9, and it turns out it was a 10-9. Round 2, Buckley did have a little more success. He actually landed 11 significant strikes this time, or 11 strikes maybe it was. But unfortunately, he did very little better with the ground stuff, because Buckley went up to 4 minutes 33 of ground control time. And at some point, Brady found himself mounting Buckley and raining down ground and pound. I'd put this in because I didn't know where we were going to take it, mentioning the fact that this was the New Jersey using old rules. So I knew his favourite weapon, the 12-6 elbow, was not allowed. I suspect this fight might have been over much, much sooner had Brady been allowed to unleash some of those. And if round 1 wasn't a 10-8, there's a very good chance that this one was. Surprisingly, between the rounds, Buckley didn't actually look that dejected on his stool. He was told, and obviously knew, that he needed a finish, and his corner pleaded with him not to throw kicks, which of course he immediately did. Result being, of course, Brady took him down again. Previous round, pretty much repeated. Brady ended up with 4 minutes 24 of control time, and broke his own control time record as well. Yeah, no doubt Brady won. 12 minutes 9 control time, 77 significant strikes compared to Buckley's 5, and just overall strike numbers didn't look any better, with Brady totaling 245 to Brady's 21. Bit of a beating there. Yeah. Anyone with half a brain had to seriously consider how many 10-8 rounds did give Brady for this one. Okay, round 1 we could see was a 10-9 maybe. Rounds 2 and 3, Brady had looked close to finishing the fight. So presumably the judges, I put the judges' scorecards would reflect that, and for the most part they did. Eric Colin and Sal D'Amato both scored this fight 30-25, very fair scoring. However, one judge, Dave Tirelli, did not see it that way, and he merely scored it 30-27. Still a dominant win, but not a score that really told the true story of the fight. So, as is my one, when I see a score like that, I decided to do some checking on this rogue judge. He used to be a fighter, according to Tapology, if it's the same guy. Not a very good one, I will point out, but whatever, he was a real fighter. Turns out this is not the first time Mr. Tirelli has courted controversy. Back at UFC 302, he'd overseen 5 fights, and 2 of his decisions sparked huge criticism from fight fans. The end result being that Dana White told him he should never officiate a big fight again. And if you can't find a single 10-8 round in that fight, then perhaps you shouldn't be scoring fights at all, is all I really have to say on that one. I haven't looked to see where anyone could go on this. And as we're shouted up, being told to speed it up, we can go on to the opener between lightweight King Green versus Jeremy Stephens. I'm even calling him King Green because Bobby did his usual styling antics. For a guy 39, he's still incredibly fast. With those hands thrown lowered down, it just allows him to throw from strange angles. He was certainly hurting Stephens when he landed. In fact, he actually hurt Stephens, then landed a nut shot. And that might have actually been a small blessing for Stephens. It might have stopped him getting knocked out immediately there and then. Didn't save him very long, though, because Green landed I think it was a blast double, just completely took Jeremy Stephens down, followed it up with some nasty ground and pound. I think it was Jeremy Stephens, I think, very briefly did try and threaten a Kimura, but didn't get it. Green reversed it around, sunk in the rear naked choke, which was one of several, I think, last night. Fantastic performance by Green. Showed all his skills and weapons. The only mistake he made was begging for a bonus. And Jeremy Stephens, though, gains the dubious honour of being the first fighter to ever lose 20 UFC fights. Yeah. His gloves did come off, so I'm presuming he's done with the UFC. And lazy. That's all I've really got on this. It was only a 4-minute fight or something. It was a fun fight. It was a great opener for the card.
Well, yeah. Congratulations on the big 20, Jeremy. Big congrats to the little heathen. First man to hit that 20 mark. He couldn't have done it without all of us. We all supported him along the way. They say, who the fuck is that guy? We know exactly who the fuck that guy is. The time on this fight, 4 minutes and 20 seconds of round number 1. How appropriate. King Green getting the 4 minute and 20 second finish. That's awesome. Just what the fuck were we doing, really? Like, what the fuck is Jeremy Stephens doing in there? It made sense slightly to bring him back for the Iowa card a couple of months back. He's an Iowa guy. Like, okay, all right, sure. This was just fucking weird. Why was he on this card? No ties to New Jersey, like no relevance to the lightweight division, whatever. And this actually wasn't even a lightweight fight because Jeremy Stephens missed weight by 4 pounds. So, strange matchmaking and booking. Nevertheless, Bobby Green looked good, looked great, as expected. Stephens just doesn't have it anymore. Hasn't won an MMA in 8 years. So this was an expected result. But Bobby Green, God, Mouse, you said it. Begging for the money, begging for the cash, confronting Dana like directly while he's in the octagon on the mic. Bad move, buddy. Stupid move. Never works out. Never benefits you. But they did offer Bobby the equivalent of your job offering you a pizza party instead of a raise on your anniversary date at work. They offered him a pair of custom trunks instead of the bonus. So he will be getting a pair of custom trunks going forward. And as bad as that is, it sounds, I actually do like the idea that King gave for his custom trunks. He said he wants a pair just like Apollo Creed from the Rocky movies. And I think that would be pretty fucking cool. That would be pretty cool. So shout out for that.
Yeah. That man, he must be so annoying to fight. The shit he talks to fighters. Well, we'll do a very quick run through. Sorry, we're going to say something there?
No, that's it. Yeah.
Very quick run through some of the prelims, I guess. Almost a pass or pause, but we'll just skim through them. Atebe Gautier, your other draft pick in this one, defeating Osman Diaz in the second round. Pretty cautious start, but you said it in one of the chat rooms. He's going to do it in the second round. He's just been testing Diaz's power. And obviously, he had nothing to offer him.
Yeah, Ozzy Diaz, one of the worst people in the UFC. Like, this was This was the equivalent of the matchmaking your draft pick got earlier in the card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great win for Matiba. Happy for the 25 points.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I was checking the results today, I was like, oh, yes, he didn't get a bonus. I'm so fucking happy. Performance bonus. Yeah. Next up was the fight that our producer Dave actually quite liked, welterweight Joel Alvarez versus Yaroslav Amosov. Amosov dominated the first round, did the most amusing little takedown at the end of the round that I've ever seen. I'll try and clip it. And then round two, he just picked Alvarez up after Alvarez started to have a little bit of success, and then he just grabbed hold of him, picked him up, slammed him down. I think he went straight into a Darce. I'm not 100% sure. It could have been an Anaconda. Choked Alvarez out, and then he proceeded to just break dance in the middle of the cage and finish with some style doing that. So yeah, fun little fight, but anything you want to add on that one now, Lazy?
Yeah. Well, I didn't see breakdancing coming from a fucking Ukrainian former soldier. That was strange.
You got to do something in the trenches.
And he looked good doing it. Like, it wasn't bad. Those moves were pretty solid. But yeah, like this is what I expected. This is what I anticipated. I like Joel Alvarez. He's a dangerous fighter, but the fact of the matter is, and people needed to face the truth coming into this thing, he's a 155er. I mean, he fought at 155, and although he has a tall, long, lanky frame, he doesn't have like the natural build of a true welterweight. And I knew coming into this fight that although he was going to be the taller guy with the longer reach, Amosov was the more natural welterweight, the more natural 170er, was probably going to come in the heavier guy, and he was going to be much thicker, much denser, and he was going to basically, if he got his hands on Joel, he was going to be able to do what he wanted to do, and he did. And I'm going to clip a clip from last night's MMA fighting post show where I pointed it out to Mike Heck. He agreed with me. He said, "Lazy, you're right. You did."
LazyBed, you're absolutely right. LazyBed, I was on this very program like 2 months ago saying, am I crazy for thinking Amosov is going to buzz right through Joel? And you'd be right. You'd be right. He certainly buzzed right through him. That was some impressive stuff right there.
Yeah. I was saying this like 2 months ago when this fight got announced. Am I crazy for thinking Amosov is going to cut through fucking Alvarez like a warm knife through butter? I was right. It happened just like that. And Alvarez will bounce back. He will be a threat should he fill out some more at this weight class. But Amosov, dude, he's a title contender. He's probably going to fight for a title at 170 in the UFC.
Yeah, quite possibly. Do you know anything on the next one at lightweight? Grant Dawson versus Matthias Robecki.
Oh yes, my Polish guy, Mateusz Rąbecki. This one actually, what I'll say about this fight is sad news to learn from Grant Dawson following this fight that he and his wife, who actually was just successful in her last MMA fight, she retired from MMA. His wife, Elle Dawson, podcasting figure, MMA fighter, retired from MMA following her most recent fight because it was announced they were going to have a kid. They had gotten pregnant and were going to give birth to, I believe, their first child and only child. So that was going on in the build-up for Grant leading up to this fight, and he didn't discuss it in the build-up, but he brought it up last night after the fight in the post-fight press conference. Him and his wife suffered a miscarriage on the Friday before this fight, the day before or the week before, I'm not sure, but he said the Friday before. So yeah, he obviously came into this fight with a lot on his mind, a lot on his plate. So kudos to him for being able to focus through this thing and come out the other end with a pretty fucking impressive victory. Went through some adversity, certainly got tested at different points in this fight. I'm pretty sure he was dropped. But like I said, came out the other side on top, submits Mateusz Rąbecki for the first time in his career, becomes the first guy in 25 fights to submit Rąbecki. So yeah, hats off to Grant Dawson for going through that and having great performance. I'm not going to say anything bad about the guy.
I know. I didn't really listen to very much of his post-fight speech, to be honest. I tend to turn the volume down and concentrate on chat rooms or whatever. Matches Rombetsky. I was screaming at him. He knocked Dawson down in the second round. He could have finished the fight there, and instead he decided to grapple it against the side of the cage and give Dawson enough time to recover, and then he lost the fucking fight. I think one of the few things I put in the Discord chat last night was 0 fight IQ, and that's exactly what he showed. But I'm sure you'll probably have something to say about the next one, Lazy. At lightweight, Jim fucking Miller versus Jared Gordon.
Who doesn't have something to say about Jim fucking Miller? A10, which I often forget, is a plane.
It's the A10 Warthog. It's an absolute beast.
Yeah. I always forget. I think it's like a fucking bus route or something in the New Jersey area that he used to ride on when he was a kid or something. No, I got to get on the A10.
A10s go brrr from high range.
Well, Jim Miller went last night all over Jared Gordon. Do not shoot a sloppy takedown on Jim Miller. How Jared Gordon didn't fucking know this deep into the fucking tenured career of Miller, I don't know. But you shoot a sloppy takedown on that guy, especially a single head outside single leg, he is going to snatch your fucking dome up, and he's going to put you in a guillotine, and he's going to choke your fucking ass out. He's done it numerous times. Did it again on Saturday night, even though Bruce Buffer announced it as a rear naked choke. What the fuck you talking about, Bruce?
It's not on his game.
But Jim Miller, who has overcome tick bites and Lyme disease and all types of shit, has overcome losses, damn near 20 of them. He's catching up to fucking Jeremy Stevens. But Jim he's still got it. He's still got he's that extra gear that most veterans lose. He's still got that. He can finish fights. He can kick it up a notch. And Jared Gordon's kind of a piece of shit, so I was happy to see him lose.
One of the very few notes I put down was Jim fucking Miller wasn't silly. He jumped the gilly, which he kind of did. Amazing performance. Sorry,
one last thing before we move on from this. Another kind of sad note. Shout out to Jim Miller and his son, who happened to come down with some very serious cancer, a very serious form. That's from what I understand, some people I talked to that actually had cancer and overcame it themselves. This is a very serious, aggressive form of cancer that's probably going to return. So now, even though his son is now like in remission or whatever and beat it and whatnot, still a very serious situation. Again, kudos to Jim for fighting through that, and kudos to his son also.
Yeah, for sure. Also signed a new contract with the UFC, I believe, another 5 fights. So potential to get to 50 fights in the UFC, I think. Yeah.
He'll only be fucking 49 years old by the time he finishes.
He's gonna be at UFC 404 or 400. He's going to try to be there somehow.
He's America's Yoel Romero. He's the ageless wonder.
Yeah, he keeps going. And we're on to just the early prelims. I've got to mention, of course, my own draft pick was Baisangor, the real hunter, Susukev, who defeated Jordan Santos. Not the finest performance by the hunter. Ridiculous done in late round 3. He just sent Santos to sleep with a good old-fashioned rear naked choke for, as I've put, a solid 25 points. Not an exciting fight by any means. The hunter needs to stop playing with his food and just start finishing it early. Or either that, or I'm going to start betting on third round finishers for him. Anything you like to read earlies? All that, yeah.
I would like to echo your sentiments there. Like, dude, stop fucking playing around. Like, clearly the kid's good, got some skills, training with some good people around him, obviously, but the playing around, the toying around, that's going to bite you in the ass. We've seen it time and again. You can only go so far messing around like that before somebody catches you. Somebody's going to clip you and put you down. And as impressive as it was to see him get the finish, much like Atiba, this was against an absolute tomato can. Didn't really learn too much, and he still made the same stupid mistakes. So hope to see some improvements from him.
Yeah, for sure. My other middleweight contender, Ty Miller, that would be an interesting scrap.
Yeah, there's plenty of people for him to fight. There's no shortage of guys.
Oh
at
yeah,
that weight
definitely
class.
not middleweights.
Yeah.
Did you see the opener? Have any?
Ochoa, Ochoa and Carpenter. I did, yeah.
Striking clinic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And shout out to Ochoa, of course, for being a Peruvian. I love my Peruvians. Let's fucking go. I would say that Ochoa, he's got a real shot at being somebody too. At flyweight, another example of like the young talent that they got there, the depth that they have there. Still only 25, 9-2, so not the lengthiest record. But what do you expect at that age? Like, keep continuing to feed him people at the level of like a Clayton Carpenter, and I think that he'll continue to, like we always say it about these young dudes, they improve in leaps and bounds. So from camp to camp, if he gets like 2-3 more guys at this level under his belt, he's going to be a real problem when he's like 27 years old.
Yeah, I think it was DC was laughing almost because he was using him like a heavy bag just to work combinations on. I was like, oh, that's fun. And you don't normally see those in a fight. That kind of shit you throw when you're training.
Oh, yeah, I heard that too, yeah. Well, I was happy to see it again because Clayton Carpenter, he has the face that reminds me of a villain from a 90s Disney teen movie. He looks like the asshole in every teen movie from the 90s, just that fucking stuck-up prick kid. So I was happy to see that. That smug look on his face getting battered around. It was good to see.
Yeah. All right, and we should just very quickly we'll do the Tapology League, where this week, if I've got the right page up, it was our very own Super Dave in third place. You narrowly beating you, Lazy. You were in fourth. Dave though got 620 points, 10 fights correct. Which you also did, but not enough for the top three. John Ray MMA in second place, 635 points. Well done, John. Also 10 right. And in first place, I think he's been there before actually. Genghis Bong. We always like a bit of Genghis Bong in the chat rooms when we see him there. 655 points, 10 right, 3 decisions, 1 perfect, 2 semi-perfect. Well done, mate. Nicely done there. And a lowly 7th for me. The only good news being that I beat Daz Riccio. I took points off him.
Jeez, Daz, the wheels falling off. What's going on?
Yeah, he's having a few bad ones. The draft, of course, as you mentioned, you got 55 points for the first fight. You got another 25 for Atabe Gautier. I also got 25 points for Baisango Susakaev. So that ends up, if I've done my math right, with I think you're on 215 points and I'm on 200. Sorry, no, I can't remember exactly. There's 15 points. You're 15 points in front of me. I know I worked it out that way.
Yeah, I think I'm either 15 or 20. It's one or the other. But yeah. I just happened to surge ahead with this one because of that title defense, baby. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, I had a 40-point lead and I got 25 points. That's 65 points, and you got 80 points, didn't you, in total?
Yeah. 55 and 25.
Yeah. So yeah,
hey, just be glad you didn't draft Chimaev again this year because that would have fucking sucked.
That would have sucked. Yeah, losing a belt as well.
Yeah, especially knowing at least everyone thought we knew what was going to happen, and then nope, Strickland does it again.
Yeah, he's one of the big mysteries almost now, isn't he? What he could have been. Let's hope his big boss doesn't get to him. Yeah, and I suppose we should really score the card. There's only the two of us to do it, but nonetheless. So what do you think? How did you rate it?
Well, I mean,
there was a lot of hype before it, to be sure.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those weird ones where like anticipation was higher maybe than result, whereas typically like it's the opposite. It's the Austin formula where you go in with no anticipation and you're happier with the results. So like, but again, like some things on this card provided, some things did not. Every time you got something that felt pretty good, you ended up getting something that didn't feel pretty good. So it's just kind of like really down the line all night long. Like I can't see giving it too much acknowledgement, and I can't see knocking it too much. I'm probably just gonna have to go right down the center. A 5 seems like the likely one, although the co-main event was probably one of my favorite flyweight fights of all time. The main event was a typical, Strickland affair, and Khamzat agreed to go along with it. So it was just.
Yeah, I think Aaron Bronstetter, again, I've mentioned him so many times today, he described it as being a fairly normal, average fight. I think the thing with that one was the consequence, and of course the fact that Chimaev's record was at stake. Yeah.
And the other thing is, like, if you're going to do the whole thing of selling fights and trying to build controversy and build heat and saying outlandish stuff in the build, stop admitting afterwards that it was fake and that you're buddies and that you're sorry. And that goes so far in the sportsmanship department and like, oh, they're being respectful, but it's much better if you maintain that mystique and you, in pro wrestling terms, like, keep the work going, like continue to work us. We'll buy into it and we will play along more if you don't reveal the secret. So that ruins. Now that I think about it, that kind of makes me want to knock it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4. I'm gonna give it a 4. I'm gonna give it a 4. I was gonna give it a 5 because it felt pretty middle of the road, but you can't have 37 security guards in the fucking cage and then high five twice before the fight starts and hug and apologize by the fight's end. So no, I'm gonna give it a 4.
That's harsh judging you down just for that. I actually quite like the way Strickland's come out. I heard some interview with him at post-fight, and he was saying, like, when I'm in there, when I'm doing my WWE thing, I'll sometimes say things that I probably shouldn't say quite as much as I do. And he does say he has a lot of Muslim friends in the gyms and all the rest of it, so he's kind of apologising to them as well. I thought it was really classy. At the end of the day, Strickland can't win. If there's an asshole, people tell him, hate him for being an asshole, and then when he apologised for being an asshole, people hate him because he's now weak apologising. Poor guy can't win. Winning in life though, two belts, nice wife, and all the rest of it. On a nice holiday for a few months.
It just kind of doesn't mean much when he apologizes because he's going to do it again to sell the next fight.
Yeah, but I guess it's like Chael and to some degree.
Yeah. You just got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. Yeah.
Do you want them to take it to the ultimate level, or just clear it up a little bit afterwards? I don't think that many people were convinced it was a real beef between them, though.
Yeah, no.
They spent enough time in the gym together prior to this. And I suppose I should score it before Dave tries to shoot me. He'll do well. He's a continent away, but I'm not going to be as harsh as Lazy by any means. I enjoyed the main event. I do like a Sean Strickland win, especially when it's completely unexpected like that one. As you said, the co-main was a pretty fantastic fight. The heavyweight fight before it was okay. I actually enjoyed seeing Brady Maul Buckley. That was actually quite entertaining, even though he didn't manage to get the finish. And of course, we've already talked about opener. I could mark it down because of all the points it's given Lazy for his draft picks, but I won't. So UFC 328, so I'm going to double that and make it that 656. And I'm going to stick another point on top of it. Fuck you, Lazy. I'm going to give for 7.5 for this one. I thought it was pretty good. I actually scored it beforehand and I gave it 7 in our Discord poll. So I'm going to go slightly high, 7.56.
Oh, well. Balances things out. Got to meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, maybe we'll bug Austin and get a score off him, and Dave can add it. Next week there are fights next week. It's back at the Metapex in good old Las Vegas. It's Allen versus Costa. I do have a couple of fighters involved in this, but I think that's from my fantasy MMA draft. I'm not sure if I have anyone from our actual draft. Hopefully Lazy will be in charge of that one, but I'm not sure at the moment if he's going to be around or not. So, but one way or the a couple of us will be back next week anyway to do it. And you want to say goodbye, Lazy? Anything to add? Oh, we didn't even mention the Hall of Fame, did we?
Oh, we did not mention the Hall of Fame. Chris Weidman inducted. Let's fucking go. He's still my boy. Yeah, shout out to that. Next week's UFC fucking sucks balls. But there is also the MVP card: Ronda Rousey
Ooh.
versus Carano and Ngannou. We got fucking Diaz versus Perry on there. All kinds of stuff going on there. So that'd be some stuff to talk about potentially. And then a quick shout out before we close to Ryan Cafaro, my fucking guy from CFFC, former featherweight champion, made the move to Ryzen, had his debut last night, won in spectacular fashion. Shout out Ryan Cafaro, big win there with one of the possible submissions of the year. Hit a dragon sleeper on a guy. Fantastic. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, then that is us done with it. Normally, we'd expect Austin to make his usual woo, but maybe David can just edit in if that's not good enough. And yeah, we're out of here. I need another drink, and yeah, I'm done. I've got nothing more to say.
Yeah, we did it. Yeah.
Great impression. I'm getting shouted at by the boss.
You looking for trouble?
Shattering. Perhaps you're talking to us.
I did have some bad news. Kind of.
Your dick fell off.
No.
Oh, I lost a laser.
Hey, there I am.
I didn't even notice you'd gone. I was reading my script.
I heard most everything you said, so I'm good. I've been here. Rosanna.